For those of you that are in the stream right now, put a number 1 in the chat room if you can hear my voice clearly. Just put a number 1 in the chat room if you can hear my voice clearly. my voice clearly, put it number 1 in the chat. Thank you. Shout out to Joseph Whitfield. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you for getting on the stream tonight, man. Shout out to Abdul. Shout out to Gail. Appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your schedule this afternoon to this evening to get on the stream tonight. We'll be getting started in just a few seconds, few minutes. Just giving some more people time to get onto the stream. I appreciate your patience. Just a couple seconds. All right. Shout out to Althea. Thanks for getting on the stream tonight. Thank you, Althea. Good evening to everyone that's on the stream tonight. I appreciate you and taking the time out of your schedule this evening. I trust that everyone has had a fantastic evening, afternoon, in spite of the fact that you may have had to go to work today. I get it. But in spite of that, these are just the things we have to do. But I trust that everyone has had a reasonably fair afternoon and fair evening. I'm pretty sure many of you are probably tired. I'm going to do my best to get through this topic tonight quickly as possible. It's an important topic, as all the topics are important. But this is a topic that, again, like many topics, are always overlooked. It's just not paid attention to. It's happening right in front of us all the time, but it's not paid attention to. And it's certainly not given the necessary attention that it should get. So this is the reason why these talking points are so important, because it's to bring attention to the things that we've overlooked as it relates to relationships and marriage, and basically building our community, you know, because there is no community. There is no such thing as a community where there are no relationships, where there are no marriages, where there are no committed relationships. There's no such thing as a community. That's what makes a community. That's the foundation of a community. If you don't have it, then you can see clearly why the community is falling apart. It's falling apart usually because of the lack of relationships, you know, and it's just gone on so long that it's become normalized in our own mind, the dysfunction of what we see in our communities as it relates to relationships. So many of us, we've grown up in single parent homes. We've grown up in, you know, in homes where there was no father figure. We've grown up in homes, and some of you have even grown up in homes where your father was the sole, was the only single parent in that home. I mean, that's rare. We don't hear about that often, but I found out in my study that it's more common than you even realize. So is it good on one side, meaning a woman is alone in her home by herself, raising children, as opposed to a man being in the home raising the children by himself? Is either one of those good? No. Both of those situations are dysfunctional, and it brings about the same kind of results. Same kind of results. There is no man that can raise a daughter to be a woman if he's a single parent. And there is no female that can raise a male child into manhood. There's no such, it just doesn't work. It's not possible. There has to be some intervention on some sides. There has to be some intervention. And without the intervention, you'll find the dysfunction, regardless. So these are the things that I desire personally to stop, and to stop seeing. And for any of you that watch my streams, if you know of situations like that personally, or in fact, if you are personally a victim of the same things that I'm talking about, like so many of us, if you are a victim of the same situations and circumstances when you grew up, then you know the importance of the talking points. You know the importance of the talking points. So what is the subject tonight? You are, ladies, you are expensive as you will ever be in your 20s. I'm gonna let that just sink for a second. Because you're expensive on two occasions, but I'm gonna talk about the first one. You are expensive as you will ever be in your 20s. Your time is running out. Where is your sense of urgency to change the trajectory of where things are going? And more importantly, I'm talking to those of you ladies who are single by yourselves right now, and you're not in any current committed relationship. That would really be for you, because if you're in your 20s right now and you're under the age of 27 and you're not getting the right advice, if your mom or your aunt or your friends at your job or your coworkers are telling you that you need to enjoy your 20s. You have to define what that means. I'm going to take my time tonight. You have to define, what does it actually mean to tell someone or tell a young lady to enjoy your 20s? What does that mean? What exactly does enjoying your 20s mean? Does it mean riding the carousel? Is that what it means? Does it mean going in and out of clubs at will? Is that what it means? Or does it mean partying all night long? Is that what it means? What exactly does it mean when a mother or an aunt or your girlfriends tell a young lady who's in her 20s, she's in the prime of her life, she's at the best years of her life, and they tell her as if they're giving her good advice, enjoy your 20s, enjoy your young years, don't worry about relationships, just enjoy yourself now. You got plenty of time for that. What exactly does that mean? And for any young ladies that end up hearing this stream, I want to tell you right now, that's bad advice. Very bad advice. Because you are the most expensive in your 20s. You get 2 periods of life where you are the most expensive, meaning you're the most valuable to the sexual marketplace, meaning your options are much higher, much higher, as it relates to you getting the outcomes that you say you want in regards to relationships. And you become extremely expensive in a second part of your life, which is from 30 to 40. Usually at that point, you become expensive in the negative. What do I mean by that? And why is that important? Because if you've gone to college, in your 30s and 40s, you're probably still paying off college debt. More than likely. And in addition to that, you're also reaching what's known as geriatric pregnancy. I know you say, Charles, every stream you touch on these certain points and you touch on them over and over. Why do I touch on them like that? And why do I continue to touch on them like that? Because they're so paramount in detouring the outcomes that you say you want, if, in fact, you're not aware of the time wasted between your 20s going into your 30s. So many mistakes are made. So many mistakes are made by so many ladies in their 20s. These mistakes are made that cannot be reversed. These are irreversible mistakes. Why are they irreversible? Because usually when the mistakes are made, children are involved. So who doesn't love their children? Of course you love your children. So you can't reverse your children. But would you have had your children at the time in your life that you did? Had you known better, you probably would have done something different. I'm pretty sure most ladies would agree that no matter how much they love their children, no matter how much they love their children, if they had known better or had been taught better, they would have made different decisions, and the children still would have come, but they would have come under ideal conditions. They would have come under conditions that were better prepared, I should say. Where you prepared the situation. It would have been planned. Most of us got here by way of oops. You know, we got here because of oops, right? Most of us can agree that that's exactly how we got here. We either got here, if those of you are my age, some of us got here in the backseat of we were conceived in the backseat of a Coupe de Ville, a Cadillac, you know, a deuce and a quarter, Some of you don't understand what that deuce and a quarter means. That's a Chrysler. That's a Chrysler 626, I believe it is. 622, something like that. Anyway, you guys know what a deuce and a quarter is. For some of you that know what a deuce and a quarter is, you know what I'm talking about. Many of us got conceived in those back seats, and or in the front seat. But what am I saying? I'm saying that so many of us came here unplanned. It wasn't planned. It was in the heat of passion. And finally, the young lady said, you know, I miss my period. I miss my cycle. And the guy automatically knew that he was a father now. So why is all of that important? That's important to the subject title that we're talking about tonight. The subject title is, you are expensive as you will ever be in your 20s. Your time is running out. Where is your sense of urgency to turn this thing around? Where's your sense of urgency? Here's the problem. The modern woman, and when I say the modern woman, I'm referring to women of today. The modern woman has wasted all or most of her 20s thinking that she had time, to only find in her 30s and beyond that time is running out. Had women in general, black women in particular, been taught the importance of relationship, so many of the issues that we face in our communities, they could have been avoided. In the 1960s, roughly 74% of whites were married, and the rate dropped to 56% in 2008. And as of 2022, these are our current stats, it's dropped to 51%. Now, this is a huge drop when you come from 74% to 51%. We're talking about the white community. This is a huge drop, but it's nothing compared to the black community's plummeting marriage rate. In 1960, we were married at a 61% rate. By 2008, we were at 32% rate. As of 2022, current stats, right now, we're at 26%. And here's the thing. Not too many of us in our community are taking this serious enough to turn the trajectory. What are the benefits of a two-parent home? What are the benefits of two male and female together in the home, committed to one another, notwithstanding its own trials and tribulations, which goes along with life being just simply being alive, notwithstanding those same ups and downs and those same trials and tribulations? But what are the benefits of a two-parent home? The children do better in school. They communicate better with their counterparts. They tend to be more successful in their endeavors in terms of career paths or educational paths. They tend to simply do better. They have better communication skills in most cases. We're just better when we're together. And the notion that there isn't enough available men is not true, ladies. When black men represent 20 million individuals in this country, and of that same 20 million, 51% of black men are single and childless. Now, I want you to listen to me. Of that same number, 64% are in the middle class. If 51% of black men in this country are single and childless, do you know what that represents? That represents 10,200,000 black men that are available in this country, who sit, for the most part, in the middle class. We're talking about 85%, 80 to 85% who sit in the middle class. What is the average income of a black man? We're talking about $41,000 to $42,005. This represents part of that 51%, that 10,200,000 black men that are in this country that they love to tell you don't exist. And you've bought into that idea, that notion that there's not enough available black men. That's a lie. That's a lie. I'm going to tell you as we go forward into the stream what the real problem is. It's not that there's not enough available black men. There's not enough available women in our community that have been taught what it is to be a wife, and what it is to be cooperative, and what it is to be non-combative, and what it is to be submissive or agreeable to a man, what it is to even please a man. They've never been taught that. So that's where the problem lies. It's not that the men are not available. I just told you 51% of all black men in this country are single and childless. And 64% of that sit in the middle class. And the idea that there are not enough men due to incarceration, here's another myth. Alternative lifestyles or death is simply incorrect. Ladies, I want to tell you something. Your outcomes stem from not having the necessary tools to equip you with what you need to be a wife. Prepared and preparing can only be had with being taught. So if there's no one teaching you, how can you know? Most of us, and you've heard me mention in other streams, 80% of our community is headed by a single parent, a mother, in most cases, in a lot of cases, that's raising boys and raising girls. So she's raising her boys, and she's teaching them how to treat women according to what her perspective is about that. And usually it's stemming from some disappointment or some setbacks or bad outcomes that she's experienced personally as a woman. So she's teaching her son to do the opposite of what she believes she should have been treated as. But here's what she's teaching her daughter. She's teaching her daughter to protect herself against the very men that she says that she wants, but has experienced unsuccessful outcomes with. So she's teaching her daughter to fear the same man that she wants. The same man she wants. This is all going to tie into the subject tonight. I just want you to follow me step by step so that any of you ladies who hear this stream, either now or later, if you have daughters, perhaps you'll see what I'm talking about. She's going to begin teaching her daughters to protect herself. She's going to protect her son because she wants her son to be safe. So in essence, what she's doing to him is she's making him soft, not masculine. She's coddling him, and she's aggressively pushing her daughter. Aggressively pushing her daughter to get education. Don't pay attention to no boys. Don't you bring home no babies. Education, education, education. Secure yourself. Get yourself in position to be independent. So, and enjoy your young years. I'm going to tell you, ladies, how you are misguiding your daughters. How you're misguiding your daughters. And how you're also misguiding your sons as well. Because, see, if we come together as the opposite sex, male and female, if he doesn't know how to be in his masculine, it explains why when he meets her, he doesn't know how to parabond either. He doesn't know how to connect in a healthy way with her because of how he was coddled and how he was isolated, insulated, protected. Mothers tend to coddle and protect their sons while they aggressively push their daughters. So the daughter becomes masculine and the son becomes, in a lot of cases, feminine in his behavior. You are expensive, as you will ever be in your 20s, ladies. As you will ever be in your 20s. And your time is running out. And where's your sense of urgency? I want to give you a sense of urgency tonight on this stream. That is my objective. That is my goal. To give you a sense of urgency. So that whatever you were told when you were young, that go ahead and take your time. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy your young years. Don't depend, don't look, don't even plan for a relationship with a man, because you don't need it. You can do it all on your own. That was a setup. That was a setup, ladies. That was a setup. Many modern women believe that teaching their daughters to become a wife or how to please a man is somehow a sexist idea. You know we have fallen so far if telling your daughters or training your daughters on how to be a wife is now labeled as a sexist idea. You know we have fallen so far. And more than likely, that same mother that taught you that, she was single. Not only was she single, she was angry. Not only was she angry, she was toxic. And she was alone. And she successfully prepared you, daughter, to follow in her footsteps. What are her footsteps? What are her footsteps? I'm glad you asked. 1 in 4 will marry in a lifetime. I want to go slow because I want you to get it. 1 in 4 will marry in a lifetime, which simply means 3 will die alone. Why do you think in your travels you see pet stores everywhere you go? I don't say this to be funny. I want you to think. I want you to think. Who saw the problem enough to know that there was an open market to start opening up pet stores the size of department stores? You remember when we were coming up, for those of you that are my age, a pet store was the size of a mom and pop shop. You remember? There were storefronts. Not today. Oh no, not today. Today they're the size of department stores. Haven't you noticed that pet stores are going up all over the place? Who do you think are the biggest consumers of these pet stores? The biggest market for pets, be it cats, be it dogs, birds, lizards, whatever, is women. I'm not talking about the men that go in these stores and buy snakes. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about pet stores didn't go up in large numbers because they saw a huge multi-billion-dollar market because of men. Trust me. Men do not make up the market of why these pet stores exist. It's you, ladies. But why? It's because you're by yourself. You're by yourself. All you need is a few negative outcomes in a relationship. And ultimately, what you come to the conclusion is, I'll just get me a dog. Dogs are loyal. Cats don't ask much from you. and you end up with pets. That's why pet stores are going up all over the country in large numbers, because so many women are by themselves. Trust me, someone paid attention to the same stats, data, and statistics that you hear me say in my streams. This is not coming from nowhere. It's not coming out the side of my neck. These are real stats. This is real data. And these are real statistics. And they reflect you and the outcomes that so many women in general, black women in particular, are receiving and experiencing right now as I speak. This is why. Everybody's watching your condition, and they're using it as a marketing tool. Same way the feminist movement used you and your disapprovals and your ability, you weren't satisfied. White women were unsatisfied with how they were being treated. And from their dissatisfaction came about a movement. That movement was addressed initially by men, not black men. 300 white men, 300 white women. That's how that movement started. It was called initially the suffrage movement. The suffrage movement, and very quickly, because this is not the subject I'm talking about tonight, but I want to give you some groundwork as to what we're talking about and how it came about to where we are today. And I've mentioned it on several different streams. That group initially was addressing the dissatisfactions of white women in the country because they felt like they were being discriminated against. Fast forward, it moved into the 60s, infiltrated the civil rights movement, in so many ways eclipsed the civil rights movement. And then the whole idea of women coming against this male-dominated patriarchy, so to speak, that was in some ways oppressing us. Black women knew they weren't being oppressed. Black men have not oppressed black women. It's been hundreds of years since a black woman has even been under the authority of a black man. So that story didn't apply to black women, but they jumped on the bandwagon. How does that relate to the subject title tonight? It relates to the subject title tonight because your expensive years, which were your early 20s, which told you to be strong, be independent, you don't need no man. All of that idea, that whole concept spilled over out of what was then the suffrage movement in the early years, then later became the women's empowerment movement, and then finally today is known as the feminist movement. That same mentality, whether studied directly by women, or whether it was trickled down in small drops through media information, through music, through song, that idea has penetrated the black community. And that's why today, ladies, you have such a difficult time even seeing a man as a valuable resource in your life. What does it cost you? What has it cost you as a result of not being able to see your man as a valuable resource? And in most cases, what you see him as is a utility. Or you see him as a sexual gratifier. So you have two things, a utility and a sexual gratifier. But outside of that, sadly, it doesn't go much further than that in so many situations. So, if your time is running out, where's your sense of urgency? What do I mean by your time running out? If you've wasted your 20s from 20 to 27, that's considered like the danger zone. From 27 to 35, I should say, is considered the danger zone. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. The danger zone simply represents the years in which every young lady should be laser focused at getting the outcomes that she says that she wants in terms of relationships and marriage. Those are the years that she should be laser focused. But like I said earlier in the stream, most of our young ladies are not taught that. They're taught to waste or basically squander your 20s. And don't you worry about relationship until you hit your 30s. So as a result, many of our ladies, many of our women in general, black women in particular, have wasted all of their 20s right into their 30s and sometimes mid-30s before they finally get serious about relationship. Not understanding that 35 puts them in danger of even having children if they should decide, or if they meet the man that they desire to have. What if he wants children? Look at the years that you wasted. Look at the years that you wasted. Why is it important for you to take relationships personal in your 20s? I'm going to tell you why. If you are to be a wife to any man, you have to fit that man like a suit. It has to be, you have to be tailored fit to him. If he's busting out the seams, if buttons are popping off his suit, meaning you, more than likely, you're not a wife. And that's what usually happens in most cases in the latter years, because at that point, no one can tell you anything. You're pretty much stuck in your ways. You're pretty much settled in what you believe, and you're pretty much settled in your truth, so to speak. You're pretty much settled in what you believe is okay and not okay, even if it goes in direct contradiction to what the men you say you want desire. Very hard to conform to a man's desire or to even care what a man wants when you reach a certain age. That's what's so important about your early 20s. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know that you saw your non-black counterparts. You saw your non-black counterparts. They were all married in their 20s. Married in their early 20s, mid-20s, and many of them are still married to this very day. And you know it. Why do I know you know it? Because you went to their weddings. And at each wedding, I'm sure you were asking yourself, when is this particular day going to happen for me? Never realizing that it took a special ingredient for your non-black counterpart to get the success story that she'll be able to tell later on in her life in regards to her relationship. But sadly, ladies, you can't tell your story. You're not able to tell yours. And what's even more sad is so many of you don't think it's serious enough that you even want to tell yours. So what are you settled with today as an option? You're settled with dating apps, and even those are unsuccessful. You're settled with Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Bender, and a host of different dating apps, speed dating, blind dates that your girlfriends may put you on, all of which you know have not come to any results, but yet you continue. At what point do you become honest with yourself, drop your masculinity, and become humble with yourself to where you then say, you know, these results can't be happening for no reason at all. And then you take some introspect within yourself. Can it be just a man's fault that your success rate in terms of relationships are in the basement? Is it really all men's fault? Where's your sense of urgency, ladies? As you age. As you age. I mean, you do know you're aging, right? As you age and you go into old age, life is going to be very, very different as you get into old age. It's not the same as it was in your 30s. It's not the same as it was in your 50s. It's not the same as it was in your 20s. It's not the same. Your body doesn't work the same way. None of our bodies will work the same way. You need to be paying attention to your behavior right now. For those of you that are still somewhat attractive and you're in your 50s, knock it off. You have less time in front of you than you do behind you. Knock it off. Knock it off. You're really not as hot as you think you are. Knock it off. You're running out of time. For you ladies that are in your 30s, you need to get busy. You're running out of time. You need to pick up your sense of urgency. You need to pick up your sense of urgency. And for you ladies who watch this stream and you're in your 20s, if anyone is telling you to enjoy your 20s and it's translated as riding the penis carousel, you know exactly what I'm saying. Meaning enjoy yourself, girl, you get out there. Yeah, that's bad advice. If they're telling you to go ahead and party and enjoy yourself, bad advice. Bad advice. Horrible advice. Because what you should be doing, even if you can't get the right advice from your mother or from your aunt or your aunties, you need to look at those that are successful in relationships and ask them, what are they doing? What do I need to do? Get a mentor who is successful in relationship, who is doing what you know you want your life to look like as you get older. I'm telling you, ladies, this stuff runs out. It runs out. All this hot girl summer, hot boy summer, running up your body count by being so sexually promiscuous, it runs out. It runs out. And in your latter years, you'll look back and realize that it really wasn't all what it was cracked up to be. I should have made better decisions. Well, I'm going to tell you a better decision that you can make. The better decision that you can make is to go from this stream determining that you're not going to continue in the same path that you may be currently finding yourself in right now. Don't get upset with me saying it. A mature mind, a mature mind is ready. A mature mind, after this stream, make a decision. I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm a single woman. I have children, perhaps. I've made some bad decisions in the past, perhaps. I'm not going to hold myself as a victim. I'm going to take accountability for my actions in the past that perhaps may have gotten me the outcomes that I find myself in today. I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm going to only take accountability for the part that I may have played. And if I have sons, I want to make that son the kind of son that I would like to marry. Because most of you are raising sons that you don't even want to marry yourself. And I'm going to make my daughter the kind of wife that I wish I could have become. That's your give back. That's your give back. That's what you can do right after you hear this stream. You can make a decision to do that. That's what you can do. That's all life is. It's about choices and trade-offs. Anything that becomes a choice is a decision. Everything is a decision. Everything is a decision. Everything. And no matter how many mistakes we've made, one thing that's for certain is that the world owes myself or you any understanding. It doesn't. We are responsible, and we will be held responsible for every decision we make. And with each decision comes a consequence. For every action, there is still yet an equal and opposite reaction. You will not escape. None of us escapes this life with the decisions that we make. And ladies, you won't escape it either. No matter what nobody says to you, that's a lie. Even if the lie, you know, lies tend to sound good. That's one thing about a lie. It's faithful. A lie is very faithful at tickling your ear. Tickles your ear, you know, feels good to the ear. One thing about the truth, it puts you in an uncomfortable place. That's what these talking points do to so many of you when you hear it. That's why you try to avoid it like it's the plague. The truth is what can help any of us. And ladies, as you go into old age, as you age and get up into older age, and your body begins to weaken, what is the winning story for us? The winning story is that we can go into the end of life together, right? I mean, I'll tell you something. I know if I get diagnosed with, say, for example, God forbid, you know, diabetes, I need my wife to give me my insulin shot. I don't know about you. I need my wife to be able to give me my insulin shot. Yeah, I do. Yeah. If you can't do for yourself, you need your companion, your life partner, your wife, your husband. You need them to be there next to you so that you can tend to one another, take care of one another in your weak, feeble days. I know some of y'all don't think your weak and feeble days is going to come because you may be so far removed from it, so you think. But those weak and feeble days do come. We are better together than we are apart. I'm going to keep beating that statement until it penetrates your brain. And hopefully it'll penetrate your brain before it's too late. Meaning you're too far into your older age. And now the prospects of relationship is pretty much over. I'm talking to you young ladies who are in your 20s. I'm talking to many of you younger ladies, young ladies. I should say younger ladies that are in your 20s. But you young ladies that are in your 30s. And some of you ladies that are in your 40s now. And for some of you ladies that are in your 50s, start telling the young ladies the truth. Start telling these young ladies the truth. Save them from making the same mistakes perhaps that you made by wasting time and making bad decisions. Save them. All right? Save them from that. And ladies, I'm going to tell you something else that you probably didn't know. 35 is middle age. I know you heard 50 was middle age. No, 50 is just simply old. You're getting old. 35, that's middle age. You are expensive as you will ever be in your 20s. Your time is running out. Where is your sense of urgency? I hope this helped. I hope this will help someone at some point when you hear this stream, whether you hear it now, whether you're listening to it now live. And for those of you that are on the line now, I thank you for your time. For those of you that hear it later, pay attention to it. You know, again, it comes from a good place. And with that being said, again, I thank you for getting on the stream tonight. I am your host. I'm Charles Chambers. This is Let's Talk About It. I look forward to seeing you again Friday night at 9 p.m. Let someone know about the stream. Bring them along. If you find value in anything that you hear, in any stream, not what triggered you, but what you find valuable, let someone know about it and bring them onto the stream. With that being said, I wish you a good night. And with that, we are out.